I felt great. I participated in the Biennale in 2004 and as a workshop artist. And I wasn't in the exhibition, but this time I'm in the exhibition, and I feel great about that. It's a privilege to be here with all of the fantastic artists that are in the show. Well, what's wonderful about being here is that the exhibition includes a number of artists, quite a few artists that I know personally, and it's wonderful to see them and interact with them and see what kind of work they're making now. And then there's a lot of artists that I know only by name, and now I can get to know some of them and interact with them and see their work, and I think that's a really wonderful opportunity. I'm glad I'm able to do that. I think if you perceive the work as fragile and vulnerable, over the course of the exhibition, what you'll witness is an unfolding spectacle involving light and heat and moisture, the interaction of those three conditions. And clay is the central catalyst. Clay creates this, what is really a time-based event rather than an object. The pieces make their own kind of weather system as they're enclosed in plastic, right? So there's tons of clay that is enclosed, and of course the heat brings water vapor out of the clay, and that's what creates the time-based event that goes on. I would say that if what you see, what you're confronted with and what you experience is something that is of great beauty and also vulnerable and fragile, because you understand that it's temporary. These enclosures, these plastic enclosures, can only exist for as long as the exhibition is up, and then the work goes away, because it's not permanent, it's not fired, it's ephemeral. If you understand that, and then you understand that you experience some bit of remorse for the disappearance of this piece, then I think by extension you could start to understand that our humanity's relationship with the natural environment is fraught with problems, that our ecologies are fragile, and that we should be good stewards of our environment. I think that's something you could take away from this. I'm currently working on a project in my studio back in the US, back in New York, in Alfred, New York. And this project is a whole different body of work. It involves slip-cast porcelain figurines in the hundreds that are stacked and carefully arranged in these conical towers. This piece is going to be shown at the Bard Graduate Center in Manhattan, and then at the Walters Art Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. So that's a big piece I'm currently working on. This work is all made out of cast and fired porcelain, and that'll be in two museums, one in New York and then one in Baltimore. So there's two bodies of work that I engage in and switch on and off between them. These works made out of moist clay, and then these other works that are towers of porcelain, fired porcelain figurines. The explanation is really quite ordinary in a sense. I had an opportunity for an exhibition, and it was a large warehouse space. It's an alternative space in Chicago, and I was invited to do an exhibition, and I understood that I really didn't have time to make fired and glazed ceramics as I might have otherwise. And I just decided I could build something out of wet clay and encapsulate it in plastic, and that could be interesting to do. So that's how I begin a lot of work. I don't begin with a concept fully formed, but I take advantage of an opportunity that sounds like it could bear some fruit, and then I proceed with that. And gradually I come to know the work, I come to know what the work can mean, etc. So it was really just an opportunity to take advantage of a really large space with a limited amount of time, which isn't very interesting of it, a reason in and of itself, but that's how I work a lot of times. I take advantage of something and move forward from there. You know, what's always exciting for me when I do this work, these moist clay works, is that even when I think I know them well, and I know what the outcome will be. I'm always working to incorporate another element, a surprise, something that works differently that I've always wanted to do. I try to incorporate that in each piece that I do. What's satisfying is when I see that evolution of the work come to fruition and something happens that's new, and I'm pleased with that. That's what keeps me doing it. When it's enclosed in plastic, we just have to keep the audience from running and jumping on it. But otherwise, sometimes I think, and I say that because I think the work it has enough mystery in it that people want to know, what's that made out of? How is that? What's in that plastic? And often they want to come in and touch it. So, which I think is a good thing. Well, of course, one wants to avoid just lots of hands on the piece. I think it's something that you want to watch from a distance. I'm inviting that to happen. What I want is the work the atmosphere inside the enclosures is constantly changing. The moisture and the condensation on the inside of the plastic scrim builds up because the heat from the light bulb draws water out of the clay. They work like a slow fountain. Water comes out of the moist clay and it forms condensation, runs down the side of the plastic. And this is characteristic of all of the pieces that I make. The imagery inside will change, but all of that is inflected by this moisture that forms. It veils what you see. It creates kind of optical confusion. It camouflages some of the things that you see. But I think that's an important part of the work. One thing that's always worked for me is that you have to trust your vision and keep doing it. Keep following whatever opportunities arise, because when one opportunity arises, it always leads to another one. So you just have to hold enough energy, keep enough energy and enough faith in the work that you're doing to keep going and keep making it. That's one of the best advice I can give.